Hi, I'm Melanie from Nova Scotia, Canada, and this is Adventures in Groceryland. This is the week 2 meal video of the $25 grocery budget challenge of 2025. What I am attempting to show is that even on a meager budget, if you work diligently at attempting to increase your buying power, you can slowly build your pantry and eat quite well. Yes, first week and second week, they are time consuming. There's a little more store hopping than what I would do just on a regular week. Not that I don't shop the sales regularly, and that means like shopping the different stores. I do, but I am much more dedicated at ensuring that I don't go 1 cent over that $25 when I'm on a challenge. That means I need to go to the different stores to see what I can get. So I've also included at the end of the video a look at what we have accumulated, so what is left over at the end of week 1 and week 2, and I think that is already pretty impactful. So I suggest you stick around to the end just to check that out. Thanks for tuning in. Very first thing, I need to move the cinnamon from one container into the other so that I only have 1 container of cinnamon. All done. So I processed out the 2 pounds of ground beef. This is just over a half a pound, and I've got 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So this is one of the packages together, and then this and this, so just over a half and a third. This leaves this little bit left because sometimes, like, I obviously don't need 1/3 of a pound of ground beef if I want to put it on a pizza or something small like that, where it's an add-in. But for $8 and what were they? 28 cents, $8.28. I've got beef for quite a few meals here. Very excited. And the reason they're in bags, I have very little space. I've got like one little section of our freezer set aside for the food on my challenge. Like I moved all of our other food out of there. This I am going to freeze, but I'm going to be using this 100%. I'm going to be using this week. So this reusable container or freezer container will be out of there this week. And these other ones, I don't even have these in freezer bags. These are just in little snack bags because I fully intend that this is not going to stay in the freezer long term. I'm going to eat this while on the challenge. Apple cinnamon muffins for breakfast. So I have been really contemplating what I'm going to add into this to increase the bulk. I've got bananas. I could mash those. But I have apples. I also have carrots. And I used to make a Morning Glory kind of muffin that had apples, so diced apples, grated carrot, and grated zucchini. And I think that that's more along the lines of what I'm leaning towards. Well, just had a little disappointment. Outside on one of our zucchini plants, we had the tiniest little zucchini, like this much. And I kind of was thinking like, oh, that will be perfect. I'll grate that and that can go right into the muffins, and it is gone. Died. It was little and tiny for a reason. It didn't survive. So now these will just have to be apple carrot. I had a hard time getting this out. Apparently Jiffy feels that this should be glued to the inside of the package and also to the bottom. Crazy. Jesus, doesn't look like that much. I just need to get, it has to be 7. I have to get 7 muffins. Minimum 7. I'm going to use my biggest apple. I'm not using this whole carrot. I'm going to use a half of the carrot, 1 egg, and whatever the quantity of milk was, which is 1/4 of a cup. That's good. That's not that much milk. Normally, when I make what I consider Morning Glory muffins, I run the stuff through a food processor, but this is on such a small scale, I'll just hand grate this stuff, and I just chopped the apple. I got down to this much, wound, done. That's enough carrot. All right, let's get them mixed up. This is what it looks like. Because I added in all those extra ingredients, I'm just going to add in a tiny little bit of water and preheated the oven for 400 degrees, and let's see what we can get. I almost forgot I wanted to add in, just a little bit more cinnamon. I'm going sparingly with the cinnamon but not sparingly. Little more, little more, little more. There we go. The instructions said to fill the forms 3/4 filled. Well, I filled them full and I got 8, so 6, 7, 8, 8 nice full muffin cups. So let's get them in the oven. Okay, this is how they turned out. They were a little deformed. That's okay, as long as they taste good. And I'm sure they're going to be pretty dense because, of course, I added the extra apple and the carrots. Came out easy. Let's taste it. Very moist. Really good. I can taste the apple really, really strongly. Good choice for me. I put 3 of the muffins in the fridge for current eating. I've got 5 that I'm going to freeze so that they're still good when I'm getting to the end of the week or when I decide to eat them. Simple lunch today. Last week I made 5 tortillas and I ate 4 of them. I had 1 left. I let it harden and I broken it up as if they were tortilla chips. And I'm going to have it for lunch today with salsa, which is a free item to me. Homemade salsa is free. All my homemade preserves are free. Lunch. I'm hitting the easy button on supper tonight. This, if I can get, is leftover tuna casserole, and that is just what I'm going to have. We'll do some more elaborate things later in the week. I'll heat it up. I'm just going to add some salt and pepper. I actually made this last night, and it was phenomenal. I've been very excited to have it again tonight. It tastes great. Such a simple, simple supper. Another muffin for breakfast. I know this one looks deformed. But really, really delicious. For lunch today, and also I'm making leftovers. Those will be for future lunches. I am going to make French toast. So I cut up all of the rest of my homemade bread. We'll get that used up and let's get to it. This is 3 eggs, adding in a bit of milk. We'll get this stirred up. I'm not sure if this will be enough. I might need to add a little more milk and I might need to add 1 more egg because that's quite a lot of bread. I'm going to try it with this first though. It's like a little bit of yolk right there. I'm going to add a little more milk. That's 2 cooking. I have this much left. I think I'm going to have to do 1 more egg. I stupidly put my butter in the fridge. It is hard as a rock right now. Yay. I'm adding 1 more egg and a little bit of milk. I've got 2 pieces of bread left, 3 cooking. So I have 2 here. This is one of the initial ones that I made. The nicest one, we'll save that one for lunch on another day. I've still got 2 here in the pan cooking. This is beautiful, beautiful French toast. I'm very excited. I haven't had French toast in years. Really looking forward to this. I'm going to top it with syrup. With the syrup, look at it starting to pool there. So yummy. Tonight, I am making tacos for supper. I am going to boil the lentils, and I'm going to add that in to make more of the taco mixture. But something is happening tonight that is unusual. I have been invited out, and I am going to go. So tonight, what is happening is I'm making the meal. I'm making enough for 2 nights in a row because it's silly for me to cook 2 nights in a row the same thing. The handsome one is going to eat the meal that I prepared tonight, and then I'll be back to eating the meal tomorrow night, and I'll just eat the leftovers. However, I have already had a word with the handsome one that I am going to put like the cheese and I will fill the tacos. I will do it to the quantity where I would be eating. Otherwise, there will not be enough left for me for tomorrow night for supper. So I'm making what I would eat for 2 nights, and then he's just going to eat tonight's. And I am going to a birthday party. I need to use some of the onion. I'm going to use a very, very small quantity of onion because I have a recipe that I'm still making for 2 suppers later this week where I'm going to need the majority of this onion. Ground beef is cooking. Lentils are boiling. We're getting there. The taco seasoning is 28 grams, so I'm going to use half. Oh, well, I already measured this out, but it timed out. It's 14 grams. I've already boiled the lentils, and they're in now, and added the water. We'll just add everything together and recook. Got a tiny bit of cheese. We got tomatoes. I'm going to cut Swiss chard for lettuce. And I also have the plain yogurt if we want to have it in lieu of sour cream. Just took these out of the oven. I had them in there on 300 degrees for 3 minutes. 3 tacos. Delicious and nutritious tacos. So good. Yummy. The handsome one is eating his tacos. Are they any good?
Yeah, they're delicious.
Yay! Muffin for breakfast again today. I'm really incredibly enjoying the muffins. I don't typically eat breakfast, so getting up and making breakfast is quite a change to my regular routine. Getting up and eating something that is already prepared is just so much easier for me and helps me to make it happen. There were 3 leftover French toast. I chose 2 of the biggest ones to save, and then of course the little leftover one. So I've got that cut in half. I'm going to get 2 meals out of the leftovers. I'm going to cut these up with kitchen shears. Funny, we made French toast a lot. Pancakes a lot when the kids were little, and we always cut them instead of knife and fork. We always used kitchen shears. So I'm going to cut these up. I'm going to heat them. Then I'm going to add on butter because I have it, and syrup. This one's just loaded with egg. When I lifted up the big piece of French toast, it was so heavy compared to the ones that I was eating yesterday. These were one of the first ones that I made, and they soaked up a lot of the egg and milk. French toast. So good. Yes, I'm using the butter, probably more recklessly than what I should be, but it's so good. Last night, the handsome one didn't have any yogurt, but I am actually, and I can't do it one-handed, it's too, maybe I can, too difficult to get it in there. I am going to have the yogurt in lieu of sour cream, just a little tiny bit. I'm making a big mess. Tacos, take 2. Tonight's my night for the tacos. And what I have left over are half of the shells, so 6 shells, half of the taco seasoning. And I didn't use this hot sauce at all. I'm saving it perhaps for an ingredient for something. I don't know what that something might be, but something. How good do these look? I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this. I'm going to make a smoothie for breakfast today. I wasn't planning on making a smoothie, but I forgot to take one of the muffins, not cupcakes, muffins out of the freezer, so they're all frozen. So, quick change of plans. We're just going to have a smoothie. I'm going to use the yogurt, banana, and I'm half debating, do I just, that's a smallish banana, do I use the whole thing, or do I use half of it? I'll think on that. I guess I'll wing it when I get to it. We've got milk, and of course, for flavoring, I'm going to use some of my homemade jam. I'm going to use, this is Hascap. There's not much left in there. It'd be nice to clear that container out of the freezer. And the bottom one is blueberry, so I don't know if I'll use both. I did pull some Swiss chard from the garden. I pulled the rattiest one out of there. It's going in a smoothie anyway, so who cares what it looks like? I'm even going to put in a little blurb of honey. Maybe a little more. There we go. I use the full banana. As a result, there's too much smoothie for me for breakfast. I'm going to give the rest to the handsome one. Maybe if I give this to him, I might be able to convince him to give me some things. Not some awesome things, but maybe a thing. I'll start wooing him with my remnants of things. I've got tomatoes from the garden. I've got one onion. I'm definitely not using the whole onion. I've got basil and celery that I dehydrated in those little jars. I've got milk, and these are Swiss chard stalks that I could chop up in lieu of celery. I'm going to make tomato soup, or I'm going to try to. I do all of these things. Let's do a challenge. Have you ever made homemade tomato soup before? No. Why not try it for the first time while you're on a challenge? Well, this is the thing. You need to use the ingredients that you have. And I currently have tomatoes. They're fresh. They're not in the best shape anymore because the weather is turning not nice. The handsome one wants me to pick all of the rest of the green tomatoes on the plants and bring them inside to ripen. But what I am trying really hard to do is not have everything in the house and then they ripen all at the same time. So I am trying to pull the ones off as they ripen and kind of use them in stages. I don't know how much longer that will last. So it's important for me to get these ones used up. It's been dreary. It's been raining. And I am not knocking the rain. 100%. Nova Scotia loves rain. We love rain. We need rain. But it's cool and damp, and so soup will be good. Let's try this. Let's try this experiment together. I forgot I'm going to need some of the olive oil too. I'm going with 1/3 of the onion. I didn't actually use any of the small tomatoes at all. I don't really know how this is going to turn out, so I'll keep those ones. They're still good for fresh eating right now. I did have to cut some spots off of some of the bigger tomatoes. That's okay. We're just going to see how this, let's see how this goes. It's the tomatoes, the onion, some celery, dehydrated, some basil, dehydrated basil, and I just threw in some of the kale that I dehydrated. I added some olive oil. I'm going to turn this on and I'm going to cook it. And then I'm going to blend it. And then I'm going to add in a little bit of cream. That is my big plan. I did Google a couple recipes that, of course, some of them call for heavy cream and some of them call for just a lot of things I don't have. So we're just going to use the things I do have and hope for the best. I forgot I wanted to put in those Swiss chard stalks. This is what we look like so far. I'm going to add in a little more kale. Why not? What else am I saving it for? I do these things to use to better my life and diet, so I might as well use them now. This is my hand blender. I'm going to get it blended up. This is suitably creamy, but I haven't added any milk in yet. I'm not exactly sure how much milk to add. I didn't add very much. Maybe I should add more. Or maybe I should taste it before I add more. Adding more milk will definitely stretch out the servings that I'm able to get out of this. So maybe before I decide I love it as it is, I should add just a little more milk to see what I can stretch this out to. Let's add just a little more. All right, I'm going to serve this up. This smells good and it actually looks fabulous. This is homemade tomato kale soup. Now to see what it tastes like. This was really good. I'm going to have a little bit more. Okay, I'm sharing with a handsome one so he can see what the soup tastes like because it tastes really good. And this is the bit of smoothie that was too much for me that I've got for him. So those two things combined, he's gonna have. Well, he's gonna have. What you see here on the counter is a trade. So ever since I bought the bananas, the handsome one has been trying to eat some of my bananas. Also, when I made the muffins, he immediately wanted to eat one of the muffins. I told him this is part of my $25 challenge, and that no, he wasn't eating bananas and he wasn't eating any muffins. So we have come to an arrangement today. He wants a banana, he wants a muffin, he's giving me this much brown rice, which I might point out, he doesn't even like brown rice. So he's traded me something that he doesn't like for something that I could have that is very useful. Both of those things are very useful to me. And he's heard me mention a couple times that I wish I had some garlic. So he dug out of the archives these couple garlic cloves. I had them stored with fresh dill in just like a little Ziploc bag in the crisper. I don't know. They've been there for a long time. So he dug those out and said I could have this much rice plus what he calls the rotten garlic. FYI, it is not rotten. Oh my gosh. So, of course, I'm trying to drive a harder bargain here. I'm trying to get more things. And I was like, well, what about the soup? And what about the smoothie? And he said, no, those were just for friendliness. So, did you hear that? Just for friendliness. No deal. So this is the deal. A banana and a muffin for some rice, brown rice, and a couple of what he considers rotten pieces of garlic. Let me know in the comments whether you think I drove a good bargain or I got a good bargain or if I got rooked. For supper tonight, I am going to make a casserole called 7-layer dinner. This is a casserole that my mom used to make when we were little. I make it not as regularly probably as what I could, but it has in it onions, potatoes, carrots, peas. Note, I don't have any peas, so we are going to sub in beans. It has rice. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Correct. So rice, it's topped with the sausages, and then you mix tomato soup with water, and you use that as like the topping over everything, and then you just bake it. And that's what we're going to do. I like to start with onion on the bottom. If I start with potatoes on the bottom, often the potatoes, it's kind of like they suction to the bottom of the pan. This will just help to give them a little space from the bottom and to let the liquid go everywhere, like including all through the bottom. Layer of potatoes, I've added salt and pepper. Layer of carrots. I'm going to cut the beans into small, very small bite-sized pieces. Layer of beans. I've got a handful of rice here, and I'm just going to sprinkle this rice. And I'm going to do one more handful of the rice, and then I shake to make sure that if it can filter down through, it will. I gave it a good shake, so a lot of that rice is down embedded in the casserole now. I'm adding in about 3/4 of a can of water into the existing tomato soup. I'm going to give this a stir, and then we'll pour it over the casserole. You can see here that I have topped the casserole with 6 sausages. I'm going to get minimum 2 suppers out of this. There might be leftovers for a lunch, or if I wanted to throw this into a soup, or to repurpose what's left of the veggies, but there's only going to be enough sausages for 2 meals. So let's get this poured over. And then I always look to make sure. I'll get a little more in this area over here. This looks good. I've got the oven set on 375, and I'm just going to get it in. I'm going to bake it with the lid on. And then when it is getting close to serving, I'll take the lid off so that the sausages can crisp up a bit. I'm making some bread to go with supper tonight, plus whatever else I want to use it for. I need a teaspoon of yeast for a half a loaf. I've got almost a teaspoon. This is going to have to do. Might be dense. The bread is rising. It's going to go into bake mode very soon. I'm pretty pleased. I timed this pretty good. The bread and supper is going to be ready at right around the same time. The house smells amazing. This has been in for a while. And when I do testing, I just like to take a knife, steak knife, and want to see like how tender, how easy does this go down through the potatoes. It's okay. Whoops. It's okay. I'm going to put it back in for a little bit longer. And I'm going to keep the lid on it for now. I'm probably going to put it in for at least 15 minutes and then I'll take the lid off. This looks incredible. I'm extremely excited. The bread just finished. Let's get everything served up. This looks amazing. The bread is so warm, the butter just melted right on it. Back to muffins for breakfast. Tomato soup for lunch today. My intent was this morning I was going to put bread in so that I could have bread with my soup today for lunch, only I didn't make it happen, so surprise, there's no bread for lunch. This was originally a lovely decorative wall of peas, and then we were evacuated due to forest fire. It never got any water for 10 days, and as you can see, lots of dead leaves in there, but what happened is although the leaves died, the vines did not die. So I've got some little tiny little peas here. I'm going to pick all of these. I'm going to use them in a recipe. I just need to clean these up a bit and they'll add a perfect little bit of fresh to my meal. I'm excited. Leftover 7-layer dinner tonight for supper. Tonight I'm having toast. Oh yes. Look at that really thick slice of homemade bread. It's going to be so delicious. I'm excited. This is so good. I just can't even. It is the simplest recipe. It took no time to prepare. Honestly, no time at all. I cooked it on low. It's delicious. Like, stick to your ribs. Comfort food, to die for, delicious, and it cost pennies. Honestly, the most expensive thing in here was the sausages, and that pack I got on for $2.99, and I didn't even use a half of it, so $1.50 for the sausages. Everything else was just pennies. It's early. I'm going to have some of the homemade bread that I made yesterday, toasted, butter, and also some homemade blueberry jam. If I can get it out of the container. Oh yeah. This looks delicious. Yummy. Tomato soup for lunch today. Today seems to be the day of toast. And I'm also having it with homemade toast with butter. For supper tonight, I'm going to use this Fast and Fancy rice to make a chicken fried rice. I'm going to dice up the chicken from one of the chicken thighs that I cooked at the beginning of week 1 and froze. I am going to use some cabbage, carrot, onion, the peas that I picked from my now mostly dead wall of peas, mushrooms. In here is peppers, and I think that's everything. Maybe I'll put in a couple green beans, like frozen green beans that I have. But what I'd like is with all of this and all of the extra things that I'm adding in, I would like this to give me enough for 2 suppers. All right, this is what I have before we even start with the Fast and Fancy rice package. So we got mushrooms. This is a chicken thigh. And it was a small chicken thigh. When the meat doesn't have to be the star of the show, but is just part of the show, a little goes a really long way. I've got the peas, I've got carrots, cabbage. Under here, there's onions, there's peppers there. I'm really excited. Let's get this starting to cook. I haven't decided yet if I want to try to fry an egg and add into this or no. All right, I have quickly stir-fried the veggies. That's 1 3/4 of a cup of water. There's the rice. I need to add the sauce mix. All right, let's get this all stirred in together and start this cooking. And someone mentioned I probably should have made the rice separately, and then once it was cooked, added the stir-fried veggies in. But we are doing one pot cooking tonight. And this is what we have. So we're going to boil this on medium to low until most of the water is absorbed. This is looking quite good. Get the lid back on. It absorbed all of the water. However, I just want this to have the steam in there a little bit longer, I guess. Supper, and I was successful. I will have enough for tomorrow night's supper as well. I'm really happy. This turned out awesome. I guess this wasn't really fried rice, so I guess we're just going to call it loaded rice. Loaded rice. Chicken loaded rice for supper tonight. All right, at the last minute, I decided I'm going to fry an egg, and I'll just split it up in between the two containers. Coming along. All right, this turned out great. Let's get rid of that one. That one will be tomorrow night's supper. And let's get the egg stirred in. This looks delicious. Smells great. And that egg took like 40 seconds to cook. Not very long. Perfect. Yum. It's another dreary day. No rain. Just overcast. Don't mind when it's raining because we need the rain in Nova Scotia. Don't like it so much when it's just overcast with no rain. So, it's cool out. We're going to have the rest of the oatmeal with apple, cinnamon, and brown sugar. Breakfast. We're going to use half the apple for the oatmeal. The other half will go back in the fridge and scraps in the scrap bag. Here we go. I went to do one thing. Forgot about the oatmeal. Now this scalded mess is what we have. So, yep, that's what we got. I'm not looking forward to cleaning this later today. Jeez. This much was salvaged, so yeah. While I got the pot soaking, I'm just going to go ahead and eat this. This is the last of the homemade tomato soup. And, of course, homemade bread with butter, toasted with butter. This is my leftovers from last night. I am waiting for the microwave because the handsome one, who is not eating the meals with me, has currently got something in there that he is having for, or not having for, making with his supper. So I need to wait so that I can heat this up. There, all done. Excited. This was really good. This is what we have left at the end of week 2. So after spending $50, I've eaten 3 meals a day for 2 weeks. And this is everything that I have left after the 2 weeks are over. Let's do this real quick, like. So few potatoes, not tons, almost all of the flour, minus 3 cups. I have cinnamon, baking soda, baking powder, and nutmeg. This is what I traded for, so you guys are going to tell me whether you think I did a good trade or not. I've got a little bit left of the rice, and that's the garlic in there. I've got to have a package of spaghetti, 4 large carrots. I've got this hot sauce, 2 mushrooms, 1 banana unfrozen, half of the cabbage piece that I had left, 2 full apples, and a half one back there. I've got brown sugar. In here, so here's the leftovers. In here, there is enough French toast for 1 lunch. In here, this is leftover taco meat. In here, that's half the taco shells and half the taco seasoning. This is what I have left over from the 7-layer dinner. And I have a very small, incredibly small piece of onion. I do have milk left, enough to at least get me through week 3. And then I'm going to have to look again at addressing what kind of What am I going to get? I have syrup. I have just over half of a can or jar of pasta sauce. There's 3/4 of the yogurt left. I have 1 whole brick of cream cheese. I have 1 whole package of the nibblers, and this is at least, that's a half, maybe a little under a half of the first one. I have almost the entire brick of cheese or block of cheese. I used a very, very small amount of this in the tacos this week. I have 3 eggs left. I have breakfast sausages. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 breakfast sausages, 2 mild Italian sausages. I have 4 packages of 1/3 pound of ground beef. And then I have 1 other package. What was left over after I did that and cooked the tacos was 100 grams. And that's in that package. I have pasta sauce. This is my bag of scraps. So in it, I have been putting everything that I could use to make some kind of a broth. That piece on the top, that's the chicken skin that I took off the chicken that I used for the rice this week. There are onions, carrots, apples, and I haven't peeled any potatoes, so that's about it this week. I didn't start collecting it when I was cooking the squash. I have 4 small spaghetti squash left. I have 4 bricks of 4. Yes, 4 bricks of squash soup frozen. There's 1 cooked chicken thigh in here, and this is 4 frozen bananas. I have 3 frozen muffins left, so 3 breakfasts. I have half a can of tuna frozen, and I have the green beans. One thing that you do not see here is the bread. So I have bread left, homemade bread. And also, it's not on here, and I can't currently find it. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but I have a half a package of gravy mix left. Oh, and I have a tiny bit of butter. This is all I have left for the butter. I was just really heavy-handed on the butter this week. I had the delicious bread, and it just was so good toasted with the butter. I won't talk about that anymore, but this is what I got left. I think this is pretty outstanding. I think the thing that I find the most humorous sometimes about myself is I've never done something before, so why not do it while everybody's watching whether I succeed or fail on a challenge? Something like making homemade tomato soup, which I've never done before in my life. And last week, making homemade squash soup, again, something I'd never done before in my life. Both turned out well. Some really standout meals this week were the tacos. Really liked the tacos. Love that. And also the 7-layer dinner. I'm going to say that was probably my number 1. That was delicious. You know what? The rice was really good too. Yes, I scalded some oatmeal to the bottom of a pot. Don't worry, that's all cleaned up now. But I was able to have a little more variety this week because, of course, I have more things available to me. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I would appreciate it if you would do so. Likes, shares, comments, they help me as well. So don't forget to stick around Monday for the upcoming Monday grocery haul for week 3. And it is pretty fabulous. I'm excited about it. I'm already all done. Have a great weekend, everybody.